So I bought a lot of books, 34 to be exact, and today we're going to go through them. So unfortunately for my bank account, I recently discovered Book Outlet. It was introduced to me by my sister-in-law, Carly. You can go visit her over at Carly Reads. And I was just mesmerized by the amount of books that I wanted to read for so cheap. So I bought 30. Before I get to those, I'm just going to start real quick with the 4 others that I didn't get from Book Outlet. Last month, I recently rediscovered a local bookshop that I absolutely love and totally forgot about. From there, I got The Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. It is an older book, but I wanted to read it, so I picked it up because it was on sale. And then next, I got Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I've been wanting to read this one for a while, so I just decided to pick it up, and I really don't regret it. I rated this one a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I've talked about it a lot in my past video, so you can go check it out if you want to know more about this book. It's really good. Next, I got 2 books from Chapters that I've been wanting for a really long time and I couldn't find online anywhere. The first one is State of Wonder by Ann Patchett. From what I can tell so far, it's about a pair of research doctors. One goes missing in the Amazon, is believed to be dead, and the other one is sent to the Amazon after him to see if he is really dead or see if anything fishy is going on with the research projects down there. Second book I got from Chapters is Death by Black Hole by Neil deGrasse Tyson. As you all already know, Neil deGrasse Tyson is my favorite science writer and one of my all-time favorite writers. I haven't gotten a single video without mentioning him, so good on you, Neil. I believe this is a collection of essays, journals, interviews that Neil's had with other people or written for newspapers and journals about what he calls cosmic quandaries. He has a weekly episode of his podcast, Star Talk, called Cosmic Quandaries, so I'm assuming it would be kind of like that, just different questions about the universe and answering them the best he can. Okay, so I'm just going to fly through these really quick. So I'm just going to let you know a little bit about some of them, others I'm just going to show to you, just to put them on your radar more so than tell you what they're all about, because there are a lot. First book is The Beginner's Goodbye by Ann Taylor. This book is about a husband and wife. The wife is killed and the husband sees her ghosts around the house, so it's really interesting. I'm looking forward to reading it. Next, more people dying in car accidents and apparently more ghosts is The Perfect Ghost by Linda Barn. Next on my list is April and Oliver by Tess Callahan. This is about a boy and a girl who were kind of soulmates as children, and then after being separated for years, they finally reunite over April's brother's death. I also picked up Palo, Alto by James Franco. I had already read this on my e-reader, but I really enjoyed it and I wanted a hard copy of it. Next I have Out Backward by Raisin. There isn't much of a description on the back, but the last line is, and what starts off as a harmless friendship between an isolated loner and a defiant teenage girl takes a most disturbing turn. So that sounds super interesting. If you follow Emma Roberts on Instagram, you'll probably notice a tie-in between a few of these books. I do follow her, and I have read books that she's read in the past, and I've really enjoyed them. So I recently liked a list on Goodreads that is a collection of all Emma Roberts has ever posted on Instagram that she has read, and I have gotten a few of these. One of them is Chanel Bonfire by Wendy Lawless. I believe it is a non-fiction about Wendy Lawless and her sister Anne Manhattan and their kind of unconventional upbringing. Next I have Past the Shallows by Favel Parrett. It's looking like it's about an abusive father maybe and a pair of brothers trying to protect each other from them and protect themselves. It looks good. I also picked up Outside the Lines by Amy Hatvany, I believe is how you say it. It's about a girl who, after witnessing her father's suicide attempt as a child, is kind of estranged from him, and then later in life, when she's in her 30s, tries to reconnect with him again. Next on my list is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. Don't kill me if I said that wrong, because I've never read anything by her before. I have no clue what this is about, but I see it all over Goodreads and all over BookTube and all over everywhere, and I figured I may as well pick it up because it has some pretty good reviews. Lots of people have been talking about it, so I picked it up and I figured I would give it a try. Next I have Jonathan Franzen's Freedom. This is another book that I've been hearing a lot about. It's not the newest, but I've been seeing it all around for quite a while now. It's just about a family and how they fall apart or change, I believe. I don't know much about this one either, but I picked it up again because It's been talked about a lot. It has really good reviews, and I found it for really cheap, so why not? Next on my list is How to Tell Toledo from the Night Sky by Linda Netzer. I'm really excited for this one. It's about astronomy and space and stuff, but also about love, so it's like all of my book interests in one. It's essentially about two scientists, male and female. One is in this observatory to try and prove the existence of God through astronomy, and the other one is trying to create a black hole in the lab, trying to see how black holes are created, and through their love of astronomy they fall in love. Outside of that, I don't know much about it, but I am really excited to read it, and it is on my TBR shortlist for sure. Next on my list is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Rash. It is a collection of short stories I have heard a lot about. From the reviews I've read, they're really poetic, really beautiful, so I can't wait to read it. Next is Far Far Away by Tom McNeill. This might possibly be a fairy tale retelling as far as I can tell. Definitely some magical realism. It's about a boy who hears voices and stuff. He's kind of an outcast in his city, and then a whole bunch of strange things happen. I think a girl like eats some kind of bread and falls in love with him or something. So I'm excited to read this one too. Really magical and wonderful. Next is Stories for the Nighttime and Some for the Day by Ben Lurie. This is a collection of short stories about everything. Aliens, monsters, supernatural, things that go bump in the night. The real reason I bought this is because Ray Bradbury right here says this guy can write. So I'm really excited to read this. Probably lots of fun. Next is Passionate Spectator by Eric Kraft. This sounds like just my kind of book. It's about writing and self-exploration and finding yourself and finding your passion. And I just love that kind of stuff. I just love it. I can't wait to read it. Next is Not a Drop to Drink by Mandy McGinnis. I picked this up because I believe my sister-in-law bought it, and by the sounds of it, it sounds really good. It's kind of dystopian. This girl's a pawn trying to protect it, something like that. Probably so much more than that, but that's all I know about it right now. Next is Clever Girl by Tessa Hadley. Once again, the inside of this book doesn't really give much of what it is about, but it has the key line, story about the exploration of family relationships and love, which again, I'm a sucker for. Self-exploration. I love it in a book. Also, review says it's really poetic, really beautiful, really quick, really good to read, and I'm excited for it. Next, I have Doll Baby by Laura Lane McNeil. I'm going to be straight up honest with you, and after reading the cover of this book, the reason I got it is because it gives me major nostalgia for American Horror Story Coven, and not because it's about witches or crazy stuff, but because it's about a girl who gets dropped off in a house in New Orleans and stuff happens, and yeah, I mean, there's even a character named Queenie, so can't wait to read this. Next is Good Neighbors by Ryan David John. This looks really good. It's compared to Crash on the back. It's about a woman's last night and about the people, I'm assuming neighbors, who kept to themselves as she was presumably being murdered, I believe, and how their stories all interlock. And I'm assuming it's written from her last night, but from everybody's perspective of what exactly happened on that night. I'm just really excited for this book. It looks really good, really interesting. I love books from several perspectives and books where everything comes together and there's a big finale and you get to see the side of everyone's story. It's so exciting. Next I have A Night We Walk in Circles by David Alarcon. I believe it's said as a little Santiago thingy. I don't know how you say that. Anyways, it is about a boy, I believe. Maybe a boy, maybe a girl, I don't know, that joins a guerrilla theater troupe, and kind of about their lives, how he affects their lives, and then at the end, a betrayal surfaces that says that it is quite the plot twist. This one has surprisingly good reviews that I've read, so I'm excited to read it. Like everything, I guess. I'm just excited. I'm just an excited person. Next by Eric Seduan is Of Bees and Mist. It is about 3 generations, or rather it follows 3 generations of women in the town that they live. A lot of magic spells, spiritual things happen, a lot of supernatural, so I'm really looking forward to that mythical, magical feeling you get when you read something about magic. Next is When She Was Gone by Gwendolyn Gross. It is about a girl who goes missing. Someone tries to piece it together. As far as I know, that's all it's about, but I don't know. I'm really excited to see it, or read it. Excited to read it. I'm already seeing it. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. Next is The Revised Fundamentals of Caregiving by Jonathan Evison. I'm really excited about this book. I picked it up because it is about kind of the exploration of what it means to care for a person. Not necessarily just love a person, but really care for them. And it explores, person-to-person relationships. And I was really interested in this because I am a newly graduated nurse, and a lot of what we talk about in school is really caregiving and what it means to care for a person that you wouldn't usually care for. So I'm really excited to read it and see what it says about caregiving and loving and caring. Oh my god, this book. So I read this book already. It is The Enchanted by Renee Denfield. It is wonderful. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I wish I could read it again. I read it in like 2 sittings. It is a beautiful, glorious book. Follows a woman named the Lady, who's only ever referred to the Lady. As she kind of works cases, her job is to get inmates off of death row, whether they deserve it or not. She tries to go into their paths and build a story for them that makes them not deserving of the death penalty. Also some like hints of magical realism. I believe it's written from the point of view of a fellow inmate who is kind of crazy, and I mean, he thinks that there's like men in the walls and stuff, but everything he says is never explained because obviously it's him thinking it and there isn't another narrator. So it's so good. I'm so glad I picked it up. Someone on Goodreads, told me that I would love it, and I am so grateful because I do. Next I have The Adults by Allison Espach. This is another Emma Roberts suggested read. It's about this girl who's kind of in the in-between that we all feel of adulthood and childhood. She doesn't know which one she's really going towards, trying to figure herself out. Another self-exploration book, but I love those. I think it centers around a party that her parents are having and how she hears adults interact. A few good reviews on this. Not many, but I'm still really excited for it. Next I have The Bride of Catastrophe by Heidi John Schmidt. This is about a girl who's trying to escape her very eccentric neo-Gothic family, goes to college, falls in love with her lit professor, I believe it is, and just about love and how her family is kind of spiraling out of control without her. And it looks really good. I'm excited for it. Next I have Christopher Buhlman, I think is how you say his name, The Necromancer's House. It is about a man who is a recovering alcoholic and a warlock. And from what I read about it, it's kind of a retelling of Russian fairy tales. I think it might be set in Russia or something. It looks really good. Lots of magic and everything. Kind of slipping into the fantasy side, but really into it. I have just been on a good reading streak so far because another thing I read from May's book haul is The Shell Collector by Anthony Dewar. This is a just glorious, beautiful collection of short stories that really deal a lot with nature, lots and lots of nature, which I absolutely loved about it. The descriptions of nature, I mean, you can practically smell, touch, hear, taste everything that's happening in this book with all the descriptions that are in it. I absolutely love it. It's about like nature and kind of being by yourself and having things for yourself, and how when you kind of invite other people into your one-person party, things don't go so well, is what I got from it. I mean, that's a pretty broad generalization, but I mean, that sums it up pretty well. It's beautiful. You should really read it. There's like, I don't know, there's like two I wasn't like the biggest fan of, but I mean the other ones just, they just get you. Lastly on my list is another book that I have heard a lot about, seen a lot of, and not just on Goodreads, but in reliable sources, newspapers, magazines, literary magazines, and that is The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer. If you have not heard about this book, from what I know thus far, it's kind of about a group of girls who meet in art school when they were kids or art camp or something, and then after years they come together again. I don't really remember much else, but another one I'm excited about because of the reviews on it and because of how excited other people are about it. And sometimes that's just the best thing, is when other people are excited about it. So that's my May book haul. I know it's a little late, but you're gonna have to get used to late with me because I am late for everything. I'm gonna try and be on a book buying ban for June, so hopefully I don't have to do another haul. But who knows? Who knows what kind of sales are going to catch me on Book Outlet, because that's how it is. I am not going to do a May wrap-up because I only read 2 books in May, and I'm kind of embarrassed about that, but it was a hectic month. So I'm just going to combine May and June wrap-ups together at the end of June and make it a nice pretty little bundle for you. In the month of June, I have 6 books I want to read, but realistically I'll probably only get around to maybe 4 or 5 of them if I'm really ambitious. But I'm going to share them all with you just so I can kind of kick myself in the butt to read them so that I'm not embarrassed next month like, whoops, I only read 2 books again. Silly me. So the first one is obviously State of Wonder by Patchett, who I talked about before. It's again about, I'm an 8th through this book. It's quite a dense little guy. So I'm going to finish that really soon. After that, I am going to read Make Something Up by Chuck Palahniuk. As you know, he's my favorite author of all time. Oh my goodness gracious. And he just came out with this. It's a collection of short stories, and apparently there's some stories in here that have been making people barf and faint and cry at his book readings. So I am just so excited to get into this. I am probably actually gonna start reading this before I finish State of Wonder because I am just so pumped about it. After that, I'm going to try and dive into Now Wait for Last Year by PKD, Philip K. Dick. Another one of my favorite authors. This one I've gotten like 60 pages in before. I just wasn't really feeling it. It's one of the only ones I haven't read yet that I have on my shelf, so I want to get into it. And then my other 3 TBRs I have already talked about. One of them will be Neil deGrasse Tyson's Death by Black Hole. The next one will be Christopher Bullman's The Necromancer's House. Jeez Louise, Sarah. And after that will be Laura Lane McNeil's Doll Baby. So people, that wraps up the massive amount of books I bought in May. And if I can tell you a secret, that's not even all of them because I went to a secondhand book sale and me and my husband bought literally about 90 used books. So I have those 30 and then another 90, but that's just way too many. And most of them are classics and Shakespeare and poetry and stuff. So, you know, you've all seen them before. If you think that any of these books should be bumped up on my TBR, if you've read them before, if you've heard good things, bad things, if you want to read them yourselves, anything about books related, books we talked about now, books we talk about later, books I've never heard of, anything, you can comment down below and we will talk about them. If you want to talk to me some more outside of that, I can be found on Twitter and Goodreads. I will leave the links in the doobly-doo down below, and thank you for watching. I'll see you later.